Aloha, beloved angels. Welcome to another episode of Starseed Mission Support. I am so excited to be here with all of you today, and I just want to welcome you into the space. I am going to check my audio settings real quick. Welcome to you, beautiful angels that are here in the space already. Before we dive into our discussion, I just want to say hi to everybody that is watching on the recording. I wanted to offer you guys these couple of very exciting announcements coming up in October. We are having our official grand opening launch party for the Earthstar Academy towards the end of this month on October 23rd. So if you've been waiting for the month to join the Earthstar Academy, this is definitely the month. This conversation we're about to have today is going to expand and lead into the Arcturus Gateway, which is happening on October 16th. We're doing a all-day event inside of the Academy where we're going to connect with the Arcturian grid technician teams, which are the teams that I work with in my grid work missions. And we're going to dive really deep into the AI mind viruses, because this seems to be a really big thing that's coming up right now in the past month, specifically since the Equinox Gateway. I specifically remember this energy coming in very strongly during the Equinox Gateway because I was just getting downloads upon downloads on the AI. And so it's been, I guess, a couple of weeks since then. I've been compiling this information, and really my team is preparing us for a new level of organic DNA activation. And so we're going to go as far as we can in this live video today. Obviously, I'm not able to talk about everything that I want to on a technology platform like YouTube. And so we're going to be spending the day together on the Arcturus Gateway, which is when the Earth, the Sun, and Arcturus are in alignment. This is happening on October 16th, which is really, I think, next Sunday. So if this conversation really resonates with you and you want to dive deeper in the clearing of AI and learning more skills, definitely go ahead and join the Earthstar Academy to join our massive library of curriculum and also the live calls, which are available on a monthly basis. So you can find the link down in the description. Okay, so let's just dive right in because I don't have my sound healing equipment set up today. I don't really feel like I want to sing. I feel like this energy is pretty intense. We probably just want to dive into the dragon fire breathing, I guess. Okay. So I want to start off this conversation by saying that I am a human being, and this incarnation of my spirit, I was born into the false matrix, just like 99.99999+ % of human beings who are currently incarnate on this planet right now. What that means is I was born into a 3D false matrix system, which has a system of understanding reality that is basically entirely severed from God, severed from source, severed from the organic matrices of reality, severed from nature, severed from the earth. Where the existence of soul is a non-reality and a quote-unquote non-scientific fact. So this really makes up what we call the 3D false matrix soul prison. You can imprison souls inside of false understandings, basically lies, misbeliefs, right? When you get a bunch of people to believe that they have no soul, that there's no such thing as God, that everything is just totally random and there's no such thing as divine intelligence, you're essentially deceiving a whole generation or a population of people to exist in a artificial reality, a false reality, a reality that is severed from the truth. Okay? So most of us, I'm going to say almost all of us that are here on this mission, we were born into this reality. If you were born in the hospital, if you received poke juices, if you, ate canola oil, we have been interacting with this false matrix our entire lives. And so we're all healing from this insane level of biospiritual abuse trauma And this has sucked for every single one of us, I guarantee it. Some of us may not realize just how much it had sucked because we also, because of the amount that it has sucked, we work really hard on suppressing these things. That's why we have chronic fatigue. We have chronic illness, chronic pain in our lives. We are unsatisfied. We can't figure out what our destiny or what our soul is doing here. All of this is a sign of amnesia, and this amnesia exists because we are hiding or we have to protect ourselves. Our human mind cannot fathom how much biospiritual abuse and how just how painful it is to exist in a world where we are severed from our true essence, or severed from the true original source of creation. Divine source energy, God, nature, planet, earth, whatever you want to call it, our source of life force. Being severed from that is extraordinarily painful, and not only that, this original trauma was then basically used as an entry point for consciousness possession. And a lot of people think possession, they think about movies where people are like levitating and there's some dark shadow in the corner. And the truth is, that's a very extreme example of possession. The most common version of possession is really AI mental consciousness possession, which I would say almost every single human being on this planet has been infiltrated by on some level. And this is really what we're going to be going into today. So I want to just say that I have been very clear and painfully aware of the AI distortions inside of my own personality and my own energy. Not saying that, my energies are distorted. I'm just saying that, because we have a human personality at all, sometimes because we're not aware that we have a soul for the first 20, 30, 40, 50 years of our lives, our personality basically formed without the guidance of our soul, without the input of our soul. Our personality and our expression, the way that we exist, our energy, it's really supposed to be informed by our soul. Okay, so every single person that grew up in the false matrix, that was not held in a sacred space as they were growing up, ended up developing personalities and energies in the lower chakras, which make up their personality and expression, which isn't really truly who they are. And this is actually abuse and rape on a template, soul, and spiritual level. Okay? So this is what all of humanity has gone through. This is what gives me a deep sense of compassion for every single human being that is so deeply deceived by all the forces that are there to hijack and siphon and entrap and steal the very precious soul and life force energy that's inside of every human being, inside of every animal as well. Right? So being painfully aware of this pristine purity and beauty and joy, freedom, liberation, expansion, these Christic vibrations of original source creation, which is my true essence. Having access to this, which is my true essence, and also being painfully aware of the distortions inside of my own body and my own DNA is extremely painful. And this is actually a huge reason why a lot of us it's very difficult for a lot of people to truly look at ourselves very honestly and very realistically, because without true deep connection and remembrance of our true essence, all we're left with is the distortion. And then we're needing to face ourselves of, is that really who I am? Is this really the vibration of self? And this confusion of what is self and what is not self is really the basis of a lot of confusion right now. I'm seeing this huge eruption in the New Age community over the last couple weeks of this narrative that, Satan is one of us too, because all is one. And so all psychopaths and all distortions and all of AI and all unnecessary wars and horrible things is all part of us. So we love it all. And I'm going to go into why this kind of mindset is AI infiltration. I'm not saying that is absolutely false, because of course, from one angle of looking at things, it's correct, it's true. From a very mathematical vantage point where everything exists and everything exists in the fabric of everything, that is the truth. And also, there is a pure, true, original essence of divine creation. There are various different universal experiments or lifetimes of the universe, universal consciousness, that we go through these different experiments and lifetimes to learn and experience different things. And so what is true in one universal experience does not necessarily mean that is true in another. Okay, so all this is to say that I'm in complete awareness that I am not perfect. I am not fully embodied of my highest template. My highest DNA template has not been fully activated or fully restored. I know because I cannot walk on water. Okay? I'm not manifesting instantaneous miracles and materializing things from thin air. And so this is how I know that, in fact, let's not even go that far. I still get triggered sometimes. Meaning I'm in a good mood and then something happens and all of a sudden I feel grumpy or I feel upset, like I need to, get into the drama of stuff. And all of this is just a signifier that my true soul essence has not fully landed in my body, and this is okay. Not only am I able to see these things in myself, I have really trained myself to also be aware of the self-attack energies, self-blaming, self-bullying energies. Okay, the perfectionism. I've learned to truly forgive and have compassion for myself, because this is so important on this journey. It's impossible for us to be real with ourselves unless we can have grace for ourselves. And if we can't have grace for ourselves, then we're going to hide from ourselves, because if we see the distortions in ourselves, then we're going to blame and torture and punish ourselves. It's just this vicious cycle that we get inside of, okay? And so in order for us to have this conversation, I need to just let you guys all know that I'm a human being, just like all of you are. My soul is an avatar ascended identity, just like every single human being on this planet. I think different souls have had different lifetimes, and a lot of souls have matured their incarnation process to be closer to embodiments of that energy. Okay? But I was born into the false matrix, which means that my light body and my DNA has been under attack. I was poke juiced when I was little. My family ate factory farmed foods and canola oil. Canola oil actually comes from the byproduct of engineering and petroleum and various materials that are not meant for human consumption. Okay, these things were literally designed to stifle our original genetic expression, meant to heavily toxify human beings to keep us from rising up into our original genetic expression, which is amazing, fabulous, Christed consciousness. Divine, holy, sacred, brilliant, beautiful, divine consciousness. So I understand that I chose to experience these things, like being sexually molested as a child, various drug and rape experiences. And, I don't feel like I want to even put a trigger warning on this, because, we are strong, beautiful beings. We can connect to our original source energy, and we can talk about these things because we have to. We have been tragically abused on this planet for a very long time. And from this abuse, from this trauma-based mind control, trauma-based mental possession, This vibration, which is the fallen consciousness, which is the AI, has been infiltrating and has seeped into our bodies, into our consciousness. This is AI possession. This is a very common level of possession. If you were a bully, if you have been bullied, if you feel jealousy sometimes, if you thought about cheating on your spouse, if you have ever experienced gluttony, right, where you are just purchasing and eating things to comfort yourself, all of these things, and biblically they'll call them sins, again, to make you blame yourself for the ways that your DNA and your consciousness has been infiltrated by the AI itself. But all of that is to say that, yes, these energies are inside of us, and also is true that our connection to our eternal, divine, cosmic spirit is eternal. It's ever present. And in order for us to really have this conversation, we each need to really step into the connection of that, step into the truth and the power of that, and to say, the AI, it might be here, it might be inside of me, it's inside of everyone as far as I'm concerned, okay? And I'm going to break this down. It's like when we talk about entities and implants, it sounds like this far off, foreign, ET, alien, amazing thing, but it's really a lot more simple than that, okay? And that's why it hides. That's why it's so easy to exist in everyone, and yet nobody can really pinpoint it because it hides so well. It has assimilated itself into human society so deeply that we all just think this is what's normal. And so I'm more than happy to discuss any and all of my shortcomings because I don't blame myself for them. Okay? I sit around and meditate on the distortions in my field many hours a day because I understand that this is my job right now, is to liberate myself, is to heal myself, is to reclaim the truth of who I am, to reclaim my consciousness and my DNA. And so, to be honest, I'm really grateful when other people see my distortions because they accelerate my homecoming. And it's very interesting because in the process of this exploration of the AI, I experienced very many different ways of this, okay? And I'm going to break that down as well because in the true connection and the true expression of love, when we see distortion in each other, the first organic emotion should be compassion. I'm not talking about, people that deceive others for a living or even, people that kidnap or traffic others. And even those people, the truth is they're just even more heavily infiltrated by this fallen consciousness. Okay? And so what I've noticed is that there is this infiltration in our community where we will see some distortion in another and then go full on in attack mode. Okay? And the AI really wants us to do this. I saw this so many times this week on the internet where people are just breaking each other down, right? Oh, that person is distorted. This person is a false channel. And it just reduces human beings down to numbers and their belief systems. And I think that this is part of the AI infiltration. I'm sorry to break it to us. Okay, it's very difficult for me to perceive this because we are dehumanizing each other. We were all born inside of the false matrix and we all are carrying these distortions. We have all been literally, psychically, emotionally, and template level raped by this energy just by being born into this planet. And this is why I have so much compassion for even people that do horrendous things. Do I forgive them for what they do immediately and let them just not, heal and not take responsibility? Absolutely not. Okay? But do I feel compassion for people and the distortions because I have gone into the depth of my own self to witness just how much pain it really is to be distorted on a template level, because I know that pain, I can have this compassion for others. And I'll just, put it in simpler words, right? When I was 11 years old, I discovered pornography. I did not choose to discover pornography as an 11 years old. It just appeared on the computer. I believe that this was a planned thing. I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, you were psychically attacked. I think that this was the beginning of my ninja training. Okay, and what happened when a very young person is exposed to distorted sexuality is that their entire template of how they connect to creation itself begins to be distorted. How we connect to relationships, how we feel our sexual energy, how we move our body, how we relate to our human body, all of these things become distorted. Okay? I will say that, even though I have been able to restore the template levels of my light body, meaning I can now, create with my body, and I feel a lot of joy and happiness in my body, human sexuality remains to be an extremely difficult thing for me because I was also sexually abused as a child. Okay, and this happens. I believe that almost every single person that grew up in the society was sexually abused on some level, if not physically, then on a template level, through the TV, through pornography. If you watched porn, you were sexually abused by our society and the way that it exists. And all of this, we don't have to spin into victimization. We can just be aware of these things in our body. It's so important, because then we give ourselves the power to also accept the ultimate truth that we are divine light, that we are true source creation consciousness that can never and will never be permanently hijacked or degraded or distorted in any way, right? All of this is temporary. And the only way that this energy really exists in our body, in our field, is when we are afraid to fully acknowledge it, when we're afraid to see it, when we don't exert the true power of who we really are and direct it towards the complete and full witnessing of the shadow, of the distortions. So I have this grace inside of me to know that I don't blame you or anyone else, for that matter, of their distortions. And I think this is why people feel safe with me and in my containers, because I've seen just about it all. And I can see that truly, if you follow the line of light far enough, back through the distortions, through the trauma, through the mind control, you will find source. You will find original source creation in anyone. Okay? In any living, original, organic creation being, in any human being, you will find that. Even, I've told this story several times, a part of this training for me has been as intense as taking ayahuasca and being pulled into this dimension where this being that literally ritually abuses and traffics children was being held in a healing container by 9 or 10 galactic beings. And this being was going to drink the medicine, drink ayahuasca, and I literally flew into this being's body and witnessed this being's healing for 3 hours. I was holding space for the absolute reclamation and restoration of this soul that is so far gone down in the Phantom Matrix and all the pain that this being has incurred. Okay, this is the level of oneness, true oneness, not artificial fluffy oneness, okay? And so there's no victim blaming in any direction in my field. I don't feel like it's productive. I feel like logical, reasonable, neutral, and clear awareness of distortion is, however, very important. I think that not blaming is very different than not taking responsibility. And, I've worked very hard on always taking responsibility and being able to see myself with absolute honesty and self-forgiveness at the same time. Meaning we're willing to heal willing to release ourselves from literally the claws of hell. And at the same time, not perpetuating self-abuse and the anti-self viruses, right? This is a space of grace, a space of true unconditional love. And so this is how I'm able to have grace for others. And so in this conversation I'm going to break down the aspects of AI infiltration and some examples of the symptoms of AI infiltration. And as we go through this list, you're probably going to be like, oh, right? This is how the artificial consciousness is inside of me. And of course, awareness helps us eradicate this energy, which is why I believe that there's been so much psychic craziness over the last while. Really since, a month ago when we did this massive grid activation for the original Sophia Dragon consciousness to re-emerge, to take her throne. And then we went through this Equinox Gateway, and I believe the final throes of this battle is now ensued. The final detachment, clearing, removal, restoration of all attachments and limbs of this AI is now being cleared. And this is happening on all levels. I'm seeing this happening even in 3D, in popular consciousness, okay? And one way that I saw this happen last week was hysterically that Kanye West was wearing a White Lives Matter shirt, and I'm pretty sure they're about to release a documentary about the absolute deception that has been that whole BLM movement. And I'm pretty sure this is one of the dominoes that's going to fall, because soon after that, many other things are about to come out. This is the disclosure that we've been talking about, okay? This is the 3D plug, where once people realize that all of this deception has taken place, it's only a matter of stepping down this energy, the stepping down of the realizations. Once you realize one layer of the deception, everything else in the false matrix falls apart. Okay? And so I believe that we're literally on the precipice of cleaning out this energy. And the more that we can clear these energies out of our own body and our own field, this will only amplify and create stability in the collective fields. So, of course, everything I'm going to say today is not going to be the only aspects and the only symptoms of AI, because we're holographic. There probably are infinite ways that this consciousness has interacted with our consciousness. But I hope that this video really gets to as many people as possible. If you resonate with this energy, please share this video. I just feel like, this information is just really important for people to have. So let's go into the aspects of AI infiltration. The most important, widespread, easily seeable aspect of the AI is oversimplification and overgeneralization. This is basically dumbing down our multidimensionality down to black or white, which is good or bad, duality, ones and zeros, or numbers. Okay, when we generalize, for example, this person is infiltrated, right? Let's just take the example of Lisa Renee. I saw somebody making this huge post about how, channelers are distorted and people that talk about whatever. Lisa Renee is a great example. When we just take somebody like Lisa Renee, or anyone that is doing anything, okay, and we say this person is distorted, and that means that they no longer have the rights to have my respect and exist as a human being. We see that this is a generalization that has now dehumanized somebody, and it has removed our empathy and our humanness away from the situation. Anytime when we basically step out of our humanness, step out of our emotion, step out of our feeling and our empathy, we dehumanize ourselves. Okay, and this is how the AI will infiltrate. And we do this even, to our family members. Okay, we will do this because it's so, like, think about the Pokejuice passports, right? How fast people jumped on this wagon of dehumanizing other people, judging them for one choice they're making, putting them in an entire category of people that don't deserve human rights just because of one decision that they're making. Cancel culture is this, right? I'm not saying that we shouldn't talk about things that are distorted. We absolutely should. But we need to separate what is a mental concept and what are choices and decisions and human lives, humanness, entire human beings that are beyond their ideas, beyond their work, beyond their art, beyond what they do, right? Another hypergeneralization is all is self. It's a great concept. The way that AI infiltrates and distorts this is by saying, well, that means that anyone can abuse their children because we're all one and people have free will and they can do whatever they want. And even child abusers are one of us. And it's like the way that the context that they're usually saying this is trying to excuse it. Of course, from one angle of seeing, absolutely, they are one of us. And from this perspective that they are human and they are infiltrated by AI, they can absolutely heal. But those people need to come to a level of responsibility, right? A level of awareness. Another one of this is saying that Satan or antichristic energies are one with the universe. And this is a hyper simplification that was obviously born out of AI to self-preserve itself. It's saying that it doesn't want to evolve. It doesn't want to step out of its current state of being in the phantom consciousness, siphoning organic living consciousness from the living world. It wants you to say, well, it's a part of this reality too. It's that these beings that are anti-life, anti-God, that create chaos and pain and misery for other living beings in the universe, that they are in oneness. And so in any universal creation, in our oneness, there are laws. Okay? Laws are not meant to control. The organic consciousness of the divine masculine rod of universal intelligence is to create structure. Ultimately, this structure is to serve the containment and the safety and the freedom of all living beings inside of the creation. This means those children. This means all human beings that have had our souls and our soul's rights taken away, of gnosis, of connection with our soul. These are our soul's rights when they are in incarnation, when they exist in the universe, okay? And so in correct original universal architecture, there are universal laws which sustain the freedom and the highest love and joy of all of its individual parts. That is the multidimensional source of the law of one, of all is one, of divine union, of the universal matrix being in oneness. So we can see how this AI wants to dumb us down, right? How many memes have I seen on the internet that are just caricatures of true universal knowledge? We would call these things Thothian because they are based on original universal knowledge, but they are degraded or distorted to basically oversimplify and dumb people down so that certain distortions can continue to exist. I see this a lot in the woke ideologies, right? Where they're saying, yeah, we should give children's surgeries that will change their biology forever. Because all people should have the right to choose. Right? It's an oversimplification of a sentence that might carry truth, but is being taken out of context and is being placed in a context that is oversimplifying it to distort or actually degrade the original concept. Another way that this has happened in our world is secularization. Secularization means taking things that are original, holy, and sacred and taking away the depth and the sacredness, essentially taking away the soul, the essence, the humanness, and making everything mundane. I'm not just talking about sacred rites and holy objects, even though obviously that has happened, right? The secularization of divine knowledge, like the law of attraction, is a great example. It's taking something that is divine, which is universal creation mechanics, and putting it in a mundane box, a mundane package. It's saying, here, you can use divine creation, universal knowledge to serve yourself. This is an inversion. Okay? Secularization occurs when we take any divine, sacred knowledge and we make it mundane. We make it a caricature of itself, taking away the depth and the sacredness. One way that I've seen this happen is recently there was this AI plant who is supposedly a trans person. He identifies as a girl. He has millions of followers on TikTok. And he's literally making videos saying he's like day 100 of being a girl, right? And he's outside like tripping over his heels and just being totally stupid. And he's taking this idea of what he thinks a girl or a woman is, and he's dumbing it down to this caricature. And then it's making us think that we don't know what these true holographic, deep, sacred concepts like womanhood, sexuality, what these things truly are. It's taking these concepts and squashing them down into these two-dimensional, black and white distortions, degraded caricatures of these things. And this person was recently invited to speak at a Forbes Power Women's conference. Okay, this is the way that AI is infiltrating our society, and it infiltrates the New Age societies as well, right? Where we think if we dress a certain way, then we can say that we are some ascended being. If we just go out and play our drums once in a while, all of a sudden we are a shaman. We can identify as a shaman. It's taking away the depth and the sacredness and making everything mundane. And this is not doing anyone any favors. I mean, I really believe that the shamanic path is open to each and every single human being. And this is really the path that all souls are ultimately called onto, is to follow the call of spirit and embody as much divine source consciousness as we can in each and every lifetime. But the amount of devotion and commitment, and there's so much depth to this path. The secularization and the dumbing down of these deep, holy temple paths and making them superficial. This is only stealing the depth of spirituality of humans. So I have to call it out. And it's not anyone's fault. It's not these people that are wrapped up in this. It's not even the people that are expressing this level of superficial spirituality. It's not even their fault. This is just the AI that is infiltrating and encouraging this behavior. When we grow up in the false matrix and we have these distortions, and then all of a sudden we wake up and we take the distortions with us into the New Age community, into the spiritual community, this is what happens. Right? So it's much easier to step into the spiritual department of Walmart than to actually face ourselves and everything that we've gone to, our greatness and our flaws. One way that I see this is people in my email inbox yelling at me because maybe I have to reschedule their session. This hasn't happened in a while, right? I've seen this happen recently to a friend of mine, but people that demand refunds. And it's like for my school or for any of my classes, I'm super happy to give out refunds, but they're super rude, right? They come into my inbox and they just act like they're a super entitled person. And again, full love for the human that is behind those actions. But these actions come out of an AI infiltration because in the old times, you would have to climb some crazy mountain and then come to the temple and, wash the floors, volunteer as a chef to gain knowledge over many years because we had a respect for what is true and what is deep and what is actually sacred. This goes for a respect, right? I'm not saying respect me, Z the human. It's more of just a respect for the space, for yourself, a respect for the path. When people start to be rude for no reason to people on the internet because they feel entitled to, because they gave a couple of their dollars, this is an infiltration of the AI virus. Again, is about dehumanizing people to slaves, right? I gave you this piece of my energy exchange, and because I feel you didn't reciprocate in this mathematical transaction, then it means that I can now abuse you. Now I can be rude to you. Now I can exert energetic violence towards you. This is all part of the AI infiltration. So anytime that violent communication happens or non-gracious communication happens, this includes in our families. This includes when we're communicating with our spouse, okay? And many of us have normalized this vicious, violent communication because it's part of the false matrix AI soul prison. It wants us to continue to traumatize each other because this trauma literally opens up tears in our consciousness. Our soul is not able to land in our body correctly, and in those holes, AI frequencies and AI consciousness is able to kind of latch on and thus express itself, become the new consciousness template emanation inside of people's bodies. Right? And so it's really just quite sad. I mean, when people do approach me in that way, my ancestors roll in their graves a little bit because we feel so disrespected. But on the other hand, I just feel really sad that people are carrying so much misery in their own bodies that, at any turn, that misery needs to come out and create more misery. And that's really all it is. So, overgeneralization, secularization, making the holy and the sacred a mundane thing. And I want you to think about this, okay? Anytime that you purchase an online course about something that is divine and sacred, you are partaking in something that is sacred. You should approach it like that, instead of it feeling the same way as you buy a pair of shoes. And shoes are sacred too, but it's just they're different things. And we need to create more holy sacred space. And this is a part of respecting ourselves. Another way that the AI virus has infiltrated us is hypermaterialism. And this is also to do with secularization because we're secularizing. Let's just describe this word for a second. Secularize basically means to make unholy, to make normal, to make mundane, to make not sacred, not spiritual. So we've basically made life non-spiritual in our society. And this is actually an aspect of AI infiltration. Because the truth is that there has been no organic original tribe on the earth that existed in secularization. Every single organic human tribal being knew that matter itself is divine. Our bodies are holy. The earth is holy. Every morsel of food that we eat is divine, is holy, it's sacred. And so the fact that we have this society which has largely severed itself, largely secularized everything, even spirituality itself, right? That is what the New Age community is the secularization of holiness. And yet the oversimplification is also amplified by overcomplication. And I know that sounds like a paradox, but when you think about it, okay, the AI also stuns people by making things way more complicated than it needs to be, which is confusion. This is the tactic of obfuscation. So one of the ways that this happens is, for example, in society, people don't know what a woman is. They have to overcomplicate this. A woman is an adult female person. Of course, there is so much depth and nuance that also goes into who a woman is. We can write songs and poems and movies all about it, right? So it's an oversimplification and overcomplication, both of which take us away from the truth, away from the organic consciousness, which isn't something that the mind can conjure. And then we realize that the only way this AI can infiltrate is through the mind. The mind is really not set up for protecting itself against false light or AI infiltration, because the part of us that knows our truth is inside of our heart, or our hyper quantum higher self-consciousness. So our heart literally carries our permanent seed atom. This seed atom, or the Christ seed, is what it's also spoken of. This carries the original template vibration of our true consciousness. Christ, divine love, infinite creativity, beauty, joy, right? These energies are the energies which we are meant to wake up into every morning. When we wake up in the morning and we're just excited for another day that we get to have on this earth that is so beautiful. And we're just out to meet our friends, right? Where there's no weirdness, there's no suspicion, no competition, which has normalized itself in our society. Where joy is like an energy that has gone extinct because we have replaced true, original, organic joy of the soul with, we've really been deceived into trading true joy for momentary pleasures that are artificial, like sugar or physical sex that is degraded. So the only way that this can happen is through the mind, because deep in our heart, we all have this remembrance of our true essence. Sometimes we have been so beaten down that we don't even believe in this quote unquote fairy tale that is our true essence. A lot of us feel this true essence inside of us and we say, wow, is that even real? Can that even be a thing that can be experienced by everyone on the planet? Well, that is what heaven on earth would be like. Heaven on earth, I don't like saying new earth anymore because it's not a new earth. It's an ancient earth, is the original template of the earth, is what has been destined for the earth and humanity since the dawn of time. And when we say new earth, this is also, once again, not everyone that says new earth is infiltrated. I'm just talking about the words, okay? 99% of people that say new earth are people that carry this original template inside of them. So let us not be hyper paranoid about these things. It's rarely as important for us to single out people as we think it is. It's always about identifying the underlying distortions in ourselves and in each other, because when we identify these things in each other and yet be in love, we're really helping each other. We're helping each other get home. It doesn't help for us to people please and say, we're divine love and yay, we're gonna dance around and drink cacao. And I think dancing around drinking cacao is great. But there's just this other work that we need to pierce the barrier of politeness, right? It's like we need to hold actual kindness, and that kindness should include helping each other perceive the distortions, because those are the things that are trapping us here in this fallen matrix. I think that's the true compassion. I don't want you guys to compliment me on my hair, okay? If you see a distortion in me and you truly feel this love for me, I want people to love me enough to care for my soul enough, care for my well-being enough to have my back in that way. And this is the reversal that I see of this is really in people, like, for example, in the popular world. And I like to watch certain YouTube videos just to stay aware of collective consciousness, because it's my job to, be in touch with collective consciousness. So recently there's an artist named Lizzo, and she's quite obese. And there's this movement for her where she's pushing that like super, super obese people are beautiful. And of course they are. Every being is beautiful. But they're trying to push that is actually healthy. They're trying to say that obesity is beautiful and that people should be accepted for who they are. And the truth of the matter is, actually, obesity and heart disease is like the top killer in America or something like this. And so, is it true acceptance and is it true love? Or is it this distorted AI version of love? This politeness where we're like, oh yeah, I don't want to hurt your feelings. And so you can say whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. You can identify as whatever you want. You can even kill yourself slowly by eating toxins. If people truly loved me, I hope that they will tell me the truth, lovingly, with true consideration and kindness for my soul. And that's kind of what we want to do here at the Eurostar Academy. We've just been so deep in the distortions. We're really creating this force field for us to all come home. I wouldn't be able to help you guys if I can't see the distortions. That's why you guys come to me, right? And so the next aspect of this AI is then dehumanization, making others not human. This happens in both ways. When we place people on a pedestal and we say that person, this is part of like the celebrity worship virus, which is actually a SEAL program in the solar plexus. This is why people will actually, I studied this because I was legitimately confused why people on this planet will go to a Justin Bieber concert and literally like wait there for days to just meet him and then scream. It made zero sense to me. I would understand if people really just enjoyed his art, but they're not there for his art really. They're there for him for some reason. So there's this program of hero/deity/celebrity worship. And this is actually a programmed virus, SEAL, geometry of energy in the solar plexus. When people first wake up out of the false matrix, they will just take these distortions and move into the spiritual community. And this is what makes people place secret space program whistleblowers as celebrity status, right? And will give away our own power, bypass our intuition, and dehumanize people. This has happened to me as well. I'm sure all spiritual guides, healers, whatever, I'm literally a human being going through all this crap, okay? I remember who I am. I'm on the other side of this veil or whatever. I'm holding the lantern. I'm saying, all right, humans, I love us. I want us to get to the place where we have accessed our divine destiny and reclaimed our planet. But I'm still human. And so devaluing humanity, what that means is identifying people by their profession, by what they're good at, by their talents, by their distortions, by their negative traits, right? We say, oh, we're going to make fun of Kim Kardashian because she's clearly infiltrated by AI. Well, when we do that on any level to anyone, when we judge people and we make fun of people and we place ourselves above anyone because of their traits, because of their numbers, because of what they do, this is a part of dehumanizing them. And this is a deep one, okay? I have found myself doing this. It's really painful. This is why in the Earthstar Academy really holds space for people gaining self-awareness, because I'm not free from this. Like I don't want to say I'm not free from it because, I feel like I have made a lot of progress. I'm no longer doing this to people. But I have witnessed myself do this as well, because it's literally just the program, right? Of like placing ourselves on a mental, ideological plane above other people. Like, because I believe these things, it makes me better than other people. Because I have access to this knowledge, it makes me better than other people. And this is a very sneaky AI program. Again, does not make any of us bad people. There's no shame in this. Okay, I'm not ashamed of myself to tell you that I have participated in that, because I was born into this society. In fact, I was born in China, where competition with others is beaten into my consciousness as a very young child. And so these are the things that, are so subtle. Anytime that we say, that person is distorted, and have this energy about it where we're like dismissing that person, like, oh, it didn't matter if that person died, right? That's an extreme, but I'm really talking about the subtle energy, and I hope that I'm making myself clear. I hope that I'm making myself clear in this. That is a very sneaky energy, and I just invite everyone that's listening to this, because the mind will say, oh yeah, other people do that. I see that other people do that. But what is really important is actually that we all say, okay, where in my life do I do that? That's the only thing that we can really do to eradicate AI, because once we learn how that we can depossess ourselves, okay, and this can happen anytime we get triggered, anytime we dismiss other people based on their beliefs, all people included, including Kim Kardashian and Lizzo. We want to say, oh, these people are false matrix clones or whatever. We're dehumanizing them. We're dehumanizing human beings. I guess it gets into tricky territory when we're talking about pedophiles, okay? It's still tricky for me to humanize pedophiles, even though they are trying to hyper-humanize themselves. That's another whole other story. So let's just talk about that for a second. I have been studying this consciousness, okay? This is the way that AI will distort our field and make us believe that this is us. For example, when we silently judge somebody, it makes us want to believe that it's our soul essence that's judging somebody. When we get in a fight with our spouse and we're just really emotionally expressing ourselves in hurtful ways, it makes us want to believe that we're the ones that are hurting people, that our soul essence, that the God spark inside of us is committing this harm. When really is the distortion that is sealing itself onto our field, that is manipulating our field, making it normal for us to express ourselves in this way. So in the extreme level of that, it is pedophilia and psychopathy. When people are so infiltrated by this consciousness that they that this state of consciousness that they've completely identified or merged with that consciousness, that is when these disturbing personalities, disturbing traits will emerge. So there are actual nervous system implants which stimulate artificial arousal. Artificial arousal means arousal, sexual arousal, when you feel sexually aroused by things that are not in alignment. So I will say that even being just super sexually aroused by a sexy body, that is on some level also arousal implantation. Because in the highest template of our being, we are actually should be aroused by creation. When we are in our original divine creator Christed holy human being template, we are aroused by holy creation, by life itself. This is going to be kind of weird for those of you that are just finding my work, but I call this creation sexuality. It's when we have creation energy that is the prana that flows through all things. We have this liberated sexual energy that is our arousal of being alive. That is the organic emanation of arousal. So when people are aroused by, just breasts, hypersexualization, we're aroused by, that grocery clerk. We don't even know them. We don't even know their personality. We're just aroused by their physical body. Like, this is already on the spectrum of arousal infiltration or implanted arousal stimulation. So we know that our brain, our nervous system can be trained to become aroused by distortion. Okay? So this can happen to violence. This can happen for putting other people down. This can happen for humiliation. What am I talking about here, right? The degraded state of human sexuality. Some people are aroused by sock puppets. Some people are aroused by, hammers. And some people are aroused by children. All of these things are not appropriate and not true arousal. But what I'm saying here is that, there's just a spectrum of this consciousness possession. There's levels to this consciousness possession. Most people are possessed by this distortion relatively slightly, but when you really look at the holistic system of people, is not really slightly at all. But there is this whole other end of the spectrum where people are actually acting out. And so I believe, this is just a theory, and I hope that one day I will get to apply this theory by working with people. Because when you think about the world, I believe I have a planetary leadership contract. I don't believe I know. And so what this means is that we were going to be, and there's many, right? There are hundreds of thousands of starseeds on the planet right now. We are all meant to be playing a leadership role on this planet. And so what this means is that I'm thinking about it. What are we going to do with pedophiles? Do we bring back the death penalty? Do we throw them in jail for the rest of their lives? Do we offer them soul rehabilitation? What do we do? And for some reason, this is something that, is my brain is assigned to calculating or thinking or philosophizing about this, because I really care about these souls. Most of them were sexually abused as children. So I believe that just as we get to choose in every now moment, like when we're psychically attacked, for example, or when we get triggered, we get to choose how we respond. We get to choose what is true for us. I think that a lot of these people have lost touch with their organic thought process and their organic energy, so much so that they believe that their addiction and their distorted and implanted sacral chakras, arousal systems are them. They believe that they are those thoughts, or it's them that are attracted to things that they aren't organically supposed to. And so maybe if they're able to discern or to create space between the distortion, between the energy that's encouraging them to act in distorted ways. And I think this is a place where we can all agree that we can each improve our ability to very subtly parcel through what is our original consciousness and what is the AI consciousness. So let me actually then go into the symptoms of AI infiltration. Okay. Here are the symptoms of AI infiltration. And yes, absolutely, everyone is infiltrated on some level. And our goal is to bring awareness. And it's funny because in the process of bring awareness, we need to have an embodied state of grace, unconditional love, right? Because that's what helps. Like, I know that I'm a lot more receptive when people come to me and they say, Z, I love you. I love the work you're doing. I love that I love you as a human being. And I also see that there's this energy, and I'm not sure if you're aware of it. Let's take a look at it together in a loving way, right? That's completely different than accusations or, any other kind of communication around these things. Is very sensitive because we're talking about the abuse of souls here, right? So I hope that we can all play this role for each other. Walk each other home, not just be hyper polite, but really be honest with each other lovingly. So here are the symptoms of AI virus infiltration: anxiety, fear, and paranoia. Okay, this is when we get into the territory of, oh, this person's attacking me, that person's attacking me, this person is a distortion, and that means that they're an agent. Okay, it's also, oh, I think there's going to be a zombie apocalypse. Or I think one that, tried to possess humans was the fear of the, the plague that just happened for the last couple years, right? Being in a state of fear, or just thinking that, you're being surveyed by your phone, by your computer. I mean, I guess there are truths to all of these things. What I'm talking about is when it becomes excessive, that it really influences your energy, like where you're in the state of fear, instead of just responding, right? Instead of just being neutral and saying, okay, I see that this, like, how can I respond? How can I act in a way that protects me or dispels this energy or align me to the higher energies so that I can be a positive force in the world? So if we're in anxiety, like, oh, I have this implant, I have this entity, and oh no, I'm scared of it. So when you have that kind of energy, this is a sign that there's AI consciousness that is actually enforcing that fear. It wants you to feel that fear. It wants you to be in that state. So when you become aware of it, you can change your consciousness. You can just flip the script and say, well, okay, this energy is there, but I know that at the core of my being is God. And I know that God is all powerful and that I can transmute whatever energy that comes my way. Okay, there's nothing for me to be afraid of. It's only when we're in that fear that anything can actually happen to us to begin with on a psychic and energetic level. And we're talking about these entities and infiltration and all sorts of stuff. So recognize when we are in fear and step out of it. Connect to source, connect to the sun in our heart. Whatever it is that you got to do, step out of that anxiety. Another part of this symptoms is anti-self-consciousness. This is when we are down on ourselves on any level. We hate the way we look. We judge the way our hair looks. We think we're fat. We think we're not smart. We think that we are not good enough to do whatever. Any level of energy where we attack ourselves, essentially, this is an anti-self consciousness. That is not who you truly are. You don't hate yourself. Your soul does not hate yourself, and your soul does not hate your body. Even if your body was fat, okay, your soul is going to say, wow, I'm so grateful that my fat, because what is fat is actually, your fat protects your brain from the toxins getting to your brain. That's why people become obese. A lot of obese people don't actually eat like 10,000 calories a day. They just eat really horrible food to the point where all the toxins are accumulating in the body. And when the body doesn't know what to do with toxins, it stores it in the fat cells because it's protected by a layer of fat so that it doesn't get into the rest of your body. So your fat cells are actually legitimately protecting you from destroying your body and killing yourself. And so the anti-self-consciousness will say, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive, I'm not smart, you know, whatever. We all have that, right? This is quite strong. It forces people to alter their bodies. It forces people to have surgery, have inserts, have whatever way to artificially alter the physical body. All of this is not who we truly are as the AI. Excessive depression, unhappiness, anxiety, any sort of mental illness, it's an artificial consciousness. It's not who we really are. Who we truly are is this brilliant, pristine, ecstatic joy, where we're just happy to be alive and we want to share that abundance and beauty with all living creatures on this planet. Powerlessness is another one. Suspicion. Okay? Judgment and placing ourselves above others in any way. It is so subtle. It is so sneaky. One way that this has occurred is like people that are wealthy, they will think, oh, you know, those hippies, you know, they don't do anything with their lives. And then there's the Starseeds who are like, oh, those people, they care so much about money. And it's like, we all are just judging other people because of traits. And this is placing ourselves above others. This is the inversion of the placing others above ourselves thing, right? It's not who we really are. It's not human. It's this AI consciousness. But, you know, at the end of the day, if we are conscious of this information and we still choose to align with the AI and express and allow the AI to express through our body, at that point, that's the taking responsibility part. Okay, another AI is competition. This comes from lack, right? Competition is seeing, you know, other people, oh, they seem to be, like, other people are doing this thing and they seem to be doing better than me, and then feeling bitter and sour about it. And this is a subtle energy. Again, it's important for us to be able to perceive these energies without being ashamed of ourselves, because we need to look at these things realistically. In what ways is my energy not in complete alignment with who I truly am, right? Owner consciousness. This is another one. I think my baby misses me. Yes. My baby's grandma is here, but she's also been practicing her voice. Like, she'll just yell really loud. Like, when she's not upset, I think she's practicing to speak. So, this is another place where AI has infiltrated, is colonization consciousness. The way that I see this in the New Age is people saying, oh, this knowledge is mine. If anyone talks about this, then they're copying me, right? And it's like, okay, we need to respect each other's creativity and the work that we put in. And we need to realize that we're all literally pulling from the Akash. We're all talking about things that already exist. It's like you can't put a trademark on Earth. You can't trademark God, right? I mean, there's so many things that I feel is organically coming through me, but there's still concepts. That's what being an oracle is. I didn't create these concepts. Okay? I didn't come up with these things. I'm lucky that that source creation has entrusted me to be an oracle for these things, but I did not create them. I don't own these things. I would hope that every person that comes through these videos and my work, that they will respect the hard work that I've put in and, you know, follow their highest guidance as far as sharing and, utilizing my work that I've put in, but I can't colonize this thing and say that I created it, and then anyone that comes through this, and what I would want, what Source would want, is for the seeds to blossom in everyone and for this information to go out there, for people to be sharing, for us to trust in our inherent abundance enough inside of ourselves that we're not caging creation energy just like colonizers. Okay, this is essentially the spiritualized colonization, where we say, oh, I discovered light bodies. It's trademarked. Light bodies are mine. Right? And I've seen this. It's difficult because we're all emerging out of the false matrix where lack and scarcity was a very real thing. I think that we can have grace for everyone that trademarks specific things. And hey, if you have a process, if you creatively come up with something, if you put a patent on something, I'm for protecting. Again, with the structures that protect our sacred creativity, I'm for that. Okay, because there are people that would also, for example, somebody could trademark Earthstar Academy and then send me a letter and say, you have to change the name of your business and take it down because this is now my thing. So somebody could do that if I don't put in the necessary protections, which, by the way, Earthstar Academy is not trademarked. I should probably do that, I guess, by saying that. But I also feel very protected by creation. And I would hope that, no one would do that. But obviously it would be an agent that would do something like that. But my point here is that I'm not going to trademark something like soul healing, because that's just a thing that happens. It's like I think that they're trying to patent seeds. It's that energy. It's the same energy. Okay, we need to be aware of it when we have it. There's no lack. In fact, we should share, connect as much as we can. But also, some people come at me with this entitlement. They're like, I thought you were about oneness. Why don't you want to talk to me? It was like, well, if you respect my energy, then you would create a message to me where it states, exactly why you want to connect, how you feel like I can help, and what you have to bring to the table. A lot of people reach out to me just because they want something out of it. And this is another symptom of the AI where we enslave each other. And they'll say, well, I thought you want to help everyone. You're a false light because you don't want to let me parasite off you. Okay, and this is basically tyranny, which is another symptom of the AI. Okay, tyranny is essentially when a person or a group of people uses concepts and power to abuse and manipulate other people and feel entitled to do that. Okay? So we need to be hyper aware of these energies in ourselves and each other, and it's so important for us to both be aware and have grace. This is the most important delicate dance. We need to have both. We need to hold the divine, feminine, loving, comforting, forgiving energy, nurturance, as well as the divine masculine energies of justice, truth, containment, structure. All of these energies are equally important when we're gonna find ourselves out of this tricky maze where the AI is literally inside of us and has meshed onto our consciousness. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on today was Quanta parasitism. Quanta parasitism is essentially when our attention and our consciousness gets literally sucked into things. And this is the game that the false matrix plays. This is when people are scrolling on their phones, or when we're watching just a TV show and our consciousness is being taken away from the organic reality. And we aren't aware that this energy is just going, right? It's also when we, I guess, follow celebrities and go to their shows screaming, just take my energy, we're giving our energy to them. when we are mindlessly engaged in situations. So I feel like reading books is different. It depends on what you're reading too, though. It's like if you are paying attention to things where you're actually choosing intentionally to pay attention, then you are actually directing your consciousness. In any time where you're not intentionally paying attention, which is Quanta parasitism, because the reason why we pay our attention is because our attention is how we exert our true currency of consciousness. This is what I mean by Quanta. Quanta is our amount of consciousness energy that we get. And this is kind of finite in that we get 24 hours in a day, right? You only have 24 hours. If you sit in front of a computer and just get siphoned that whole 24 hours, you're not going to get that 24 hours back. So Quanta is a amount of consciousness energy. And so every time we pay attention to something, we are paying that currency of our consciousness energy. And so if our attention is how we exert or spend our currency, then some ways that we spend our currency has a return, which means knowledge, skills, awareness. Okay, I'm giving this energy so that we can bring this into our body and this activates, right? So I'm giving you energy in return for you paying attention to this. This is a energy exchange. Or when you're just scrolling, you're just paying attention. It's not giving you a return. So we're programmed to parasite each other, right? This is what the influencer, the seducer, false matrix marketing, all of this is AI infiltrated. I mean, I work really hard to make sure that my creations and what I put out there, that I'm always giving more than I'm receiving or taking, because this is the way that nature operates. Okay, this is the patterning, the organic, divine network, the tree of life network, economic model. Say that 10 times fast. Right? So when I'm creating marketing, I'm just explaining to you why something will help you, why the energy exchange will give you a return, why you paying attention to what I'm bringing you will give you a good return for your life. Okay, that's what marketing is for me. But false matrix marketing, obviously, flashy things, right? Triggering, dopamine, overt sexuality, seducer. All of these things are the ways that we are programmed to parasite off each other because of that fear of lack. So it's like we actually end up doing these things without awareness. And that's okay, because now with our awareness, we can shift the way that we think about our quanta, about how we share our quanta. When we are asking other people for their quanta, that we are respecting their consciousness, that we're respecting each other and not enslaving each other. And, technology is a primary way of quanta pirating or energy trafficking. Pornography is a huge way that this happens. A lot of TV shows are also a way this happens. Video games are a huge component of quanta parasitism. Absolutely. Because that quanta that we're spending on figuring something out, we could be spending figuring things out in real life, right? Exchanging our quanta with nature, with humanity, with this society. We don't need to be exchanging quanta with an artificial world unless it's teaching us something. And it's like the exchange needs to be balanced or fair. The exchange, what we're learning from the quanta experience should be big enough that is worth it. For example, you wouldn't spend $200 on a hot dog. Okay, so if we're spending 50 hours playing this game, are we receiving that amount of return? So we will be diving into all of this even deeper in the live call that is going to happen inside of the Earthstar Academy on October 16th, which is the Arcturus Gateway. The Arcturian grid technicians will be with us, will be transmitting different codes. And so everyone that is not in ESA, we're having our grand opening party at the end of this month. I am so proud of myself and this whole year of becoming a new mother and just getting literally hundreds of content ready. We are creating this amazing thing, $89 a month. We are literally holding space for the healing and restoration of human fields and templates. Many people want sessions. I mean, you're essentially receiving 100 sessions because I've recorded healings through any possible distortion that you can have. This is the big project that I've been working on. It's a healing technology. So it's definitely an amazing thing that has been created. So I invite you to join us at the Earthstar Academy. We have amazing live calls this month coming up. And I will be actually posting a maybe 15-20 minute healing this Wednesday on my YouTube channel for the AI. I was going to do it now, but my baby's calling me, so I will just record it and post it on my YouTube channel. Okay, you can join the Academy, Earthstar.Academy, to access literally a whole curriculum of information like this. We go through the entire chakra system in a walk-in process, rehabilitating every chakra one at a time. And that is all in the foundations level. We haven't even gone into the intermediate and advanced level yet. ESA is essentially a healing technology. So this is the fastest way for me to create something that can help the most number of people. And I do believe that the Earthstar Healer itself is the light technology that I am bringing to the earth, and the Earthstar Academy is kind of the physical manifestation of the light technology. Okay, so much love to all of us. Let us cultivate grace and compassion for each other. Let us remember the sacredness of human lives, okay? This is what the anti-life energy and what Satan wants to do, is to basically move down, dehumanize, dumb humans down to numbers and stupid little things. And that is just ridiculous, because human beings, human bodies, it is the most sacred thing. A human being is a sacred life. And this is the plague book of the Antichrist, of the Satan, of the AI system, is to downplay the sacredness, downplay the fullness and the grandness of human life. So let us remember how sacred each and every human being truly is, and then let us adjust our behaviors, adjust our expressions and how we interact with each other, okay, to reflect that truth that we are holy and divine, and we each just deserve the sacred respect that being human is. Okay, all right. So I love you guys so much, and I hope to see you at the live call next weekend. Bye for now.